Welcome to the Keyforge Premier League Top 16 event of Firesa versus Gorebelly PH. And just a quick reminder, we have a Holiday Triad Treat event coming on December 5th at 11 a.m. Eastern. It is a $10 entry fee, and each of the people who sign up for it will be being matched by contributors to make a donation to Doctors Without Borders, the COVID unit. In this event, it will be a best of one Triad tournament with no Heart of the Forest, and each deck must be from a different set. Luxurious Playstyle has donated a $75 Luxurious Playstyle gift card to go along with it as well. So we hope to see you there. And so let's just kick this off as Gorebelly and Firesa look to do damage to each other. They are basically each playing decks that they've been playing throughout the tournament. Gorebelly is on a control style deck, Sir Oxwing, that is going to basically look to control the board and set the tempo for the game. And basically just play value cards like over and over again. Triple Infernus is definitely always a headache. They has the Redacted to help cut key costs down a little bit and basically push things into a different level. And the Sanctum there is there just to basically hold the board and do the things that are big on the board. Firesa is basically playing his Contrista deck, which is one that basically just plays pure efficiency and value. It's using Logos for speed, Shadows for countering and grabbing Amber, and Untamed for just winning the game outright by producing tons and tons of Amber. So with that said, let's watch it as they get hot and heavy right off the bat, where Firesa came out with a Flaxia to put two Amber on the board right away, and then Gorebelly was able to start with his own Logos train. I started bringing out the Novu Dynamo and the Munchling. And you see Firesa now here back into the Logos turn. He's going to play Mother to get value out of that card. And he adds a Niffle Ape just so that if he has to go back into Untamed, he can reap with two creatures instead of one. But he draws into a heavy Shadows hand, which is going to bring some uncomfort for Gorebelly as they proceed. Now you see Gorebelly retaliate, and he starts to populate the board with his own cards as his Sanctum, as he holds on to his Maleficorn and his two Infernus, and draws into more Logos. So we'll see how that turns out. So here comes the Shadow's turn. We're going to see the Shadow Self there to protect the Mother, which is a value play. It's going to get lots of value off of that. Then he's going to use the Poison Wave to keep damage off the Mother added to the Shadow Self. So there's a huge swing there on that as he goes to 5 Amber, and he still has Shadow cards to play. Now he has to kind of figure out where he's planning to navigate, and I'm guessing that he's going to start to navigate towards Logos, so we could probably see that Dusk Runner end up on the Mother. There we go. So ends up on the Mother, and he draws. And oh, look at that hand. That hand is loaded with the Library Access turn, waiting to happen. So that's good. That's good news for Firesa. We see Gorebelly come back, and he is going to now make his run. He has kind of a very balanced hand, which is sometimes bad because it slows down your deck considerably, and with the amount of speed and pressure that Firesa is looking to put on, it's big. So a note to self too that with Fieresa's Library Access turn, it's going to be huge because if he draws into a majority of untamed things, his Full Moon will become a win condition in its own right. Right. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of that. And so here goes that Library Access turn we talked about. Oh, he draws another lab work. He's going to be rifling through his deck and weeding out trash. This is going to be great. Let's see if he's going to be able to get some untamed value here off these extra draws from the Library Access. Well, he's heading down a heavy Shadow route, unfortunately. But there we go. So we're still going. Oh, there's a untamed card, not a creature though. So Full Moon. Sad that this Library Access isn't doing more work for it. Pierre's deciding what he wants to do with this last sloppy lab work. Like, does he go ahead and just I think he puts the Shadows all into his archive, right? And like just pitches something. Interesting. But he draws into a Sneck Lifter. All right, so lots of cards got archived there. Good for that. And then we will see what he draws on his kickback from the two mothers and all that. So he still has an opportunity here with his deck being thinned out a bit of all the logo stuff to draw heavy into Untamed. And there it is. Wow, that's a lot of Untamed and some good stuff there too. So this is definitely going to put a threat on him since he does have the Niffle Ape still on the board too to be able to reap. We see a pushback on the other side, but Fierce is at 10 amber already, and Gorebelly's still at 1. So we see the tempo of this game just getting out of hand quickly, and we see a bunch of Forge Compilers go off and basically protecting his Sanctum. But unfortunately for him, there's about to be a pretty huge turn. So I see the full moon going down, like right now, using that, and then basically playing all his creatures, using Nocturnal Maneuver to tap down 3 of the Sanctum creatures out of the way, and this game is going to spiral downhill pretty quickly, I think. I don't see much of a way for him to come back on this. But that's why you play the game. Explosive start for Firesa. This is turn 5, and he's already well into controlling this game and bringing it to an end. Even with the 2 Infernuses, like there's not going to be a whole lot of value. So there's the Nature's Call too. Oof. And there's a concede. So Gorebelly says, I am too far out of this. We were ready to move on to the next game. So you saw there that Fierce's deck just came out with some walloping speed and not much of a chance for Gorebelly to react to it, as that was a pretty good nuts draw, I think, for Fierce's deck. It looked really solid. So we'll see what happens when they decide to flip decks, and we get back to this event soon. Just another quick reminder about the Holiday Triad treat. Best of 1 Archon Triad, 75 SAS cap with no Heart of the Forest decks allowed. So it means you got to pick one of each of your decks has to be from one of the 4 sets. So 3 of the sets will be represented. Your opponent will get to basically ban 1, and then you will play one of the 2 decks that remain. So make sure you get out here and support this for the charitable cause that we have created. And thank you. And welcome back to the round 2, where Gorebelly now will be piloting Fierce's deck, and Fierce will be piloting Gorebelly's deck. Let's see what kind of action we can get out of this as we move forward through this game. Will Fierce be able to go 2-0, or will Gorebelly be able to even it up and go back? I think that my money is on Gorebelly being able to even it out, as I know the power of Fierce's deck, but it will really depend on how he sequences it. So here we go. Gorebelly actually starts off with the library access and 3 logos cards, but does he go for them early? I don't know. I think this is more of a play where you kind of hold back a little bit and try for a bigger turn using the Mothers and Howling Pit to find more logos cards, and that's what it looks like he's doing as he repopulates his hand. He goes pretty heavy in shadows here, so that's an interesting turn of events. But he does have a Sneck Lifter, it looks like, and that could be a good target for this Fission Bomb, as Firesa gets to try to navigate Gorebelly's deck around the madness that is the deck that he brought. This is always the interesting part of Adaptive, is when you flip the decks around, and then you have to play against a deck that you know how to beat because you know how to play it. You know what beats it, and then your opponent is trying to figure out how to pilot your deck. So even if you feel like your deck is that much better, I think there is an advantage to the fact that you just know how to play it because you've been playing it. So we see a lot of skill get played in this adaptive format that I think is, not to say there isn't skill in other formats, but I think this is the most skill intense format as far as being able to use your deck knowledge and your card knowledge in the game to basically push forward and get good results with decks that you don't really play as often, right? So it's a different skill set from people who have well-oiled machines and decks that they know how to play, and they get to play it 3 times, and they're basically trying to outwit their opponents using the power of their deck and the things that they've learned from playing it. Familiarity is almost like a safety blanket, whereas in adaptive you lose that familiarity when you switch decks. But you do get intimate knowledge with how to beat the deck. So I guess it's a trade-off. But all styles are fun, but for my bucket, I think adaptive is the most skill testing of all because it balances the playing field 100%. And bidding chains is its own craziness. Fierza made a misplay there by not playing his Maleficorn first and then using the extra pip damage to have an extra piece of pip damage. But he said basically he's a bad player, and I said yes, all grand champions are bad players. I'm guessing, right? Because he is the Australian grand champion. So I think this was just again unfamiliarity. So he sequenced it incorrectly, and that happens when you are basically playing in events like this. So we see Fierza's hand is actually loaded up as well. It has 2 Infernuses and like some cool tricks in the D's house, but it'll be interesting to see how this goes against what Gorebelly is doing. So Gorebelly has a chance here to play his Untamed for some value, get some speed going. He's gonna Vigor. He's gonna play the Flaxia so he can protect his mother, I'm guessing, on the Lost in the Woods, and basically go one-on-one. So that's good. That mother has the Dusk Runner on it, so it's kind of important. It's a key card. So we'll see what comes of that. Firesa did get to 6 Amber early and fast, but at the cost of a library access that was not ever put into speed as far as like this deck goes. So that's one tip towards Fierza that could definitely start to shift the game in his favor. And now he's going to get to basically start to reap all the cards out of the library with having 3 Infernuses, all 3 coming in a timely manner. Before there was really a lot of damage that could be dealt on the side of the on the side of Gorebelly. So he's brought back off a check, and Fierza's pacing really well with Gorebelly's deck right now. So he's had a better draw and a better sequence than Gorebelly has. But also Gorebelly is I don't think Gorebelly knows exactly where he wants to go with this at this point either, as far as the hand. Like here, I might have went into Untamed and played the Nature's Recall. Actually, no, that would be horrible play. Take that back. I'm not going to put 3 Infernuses back in my opponent's hand. It seems horrible. But it would have gave him an Amber Spike, which could have been good because he could have got some value off of that if he played the Niflheim, returned 2 of them, and basically made him have to go because eventually there would be no Amber Pips in the graveyard for him to use, especially with the graveyards being this light. But um, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't even know if you considered that, but sometimes you have to play and say, you know what, you could take cards that don't have pips out of my library all you want. Because at the time there was really nothing in the library that was in the discard that was going to give him you know, a lot of value off of those Infernuses. Plus, you're also making him go back into the house. So it's just one line of play, right? Like what he did was absolutely fine, obviously. It was the conventional move. This is keeping up with your discard piles and what you're losing for what you're gaining is important in Keyforge, as a lot of cards like Infernus and stuff are popular, so you're going to see them. So there's times that you can kind of trap your opponent into the to the greed factor of the Infernus by basically giving them a choice to play it again. And a lot of times, like they'll bite the bait and go for it because math says that there's value there, right? And there is, but sometimes you have to use that to rope a dope or to get your to further your own um, game state. So Gorebelly does get to one key, and we move forward again, playing very solid lines all around. Doesn't play the mad science like me. Here comes the redacted and the autoencoder, two very solid artifacts to introduce into the game. It looks like he does have a clone, is it there? And it has, and he has the Forge Compiler. All right. Oh, it was a Lethologica. It wasn't a clone. Lethologica, a very much a value card. I'm very excited for it. So we see these guys basically going back and forth and just taking swings at each other. Gorebelly has to keep putting amber pressure on. If he doesn't, he's going to fall behind here. Unfortunately, Lights Out is not great in this situation when there's only two Infernuses opposite of him. But he could have a decent turn, I guess, and Untamed where he could fight off and kill the Infernuses, and then using his two creatures, and then basically come back and bring in Witch of the Eye, Niffle Ape. That would be an okay push. But you can see that the value is not setting up as easily for Gorebelly as it was for Firesa in the first game. And is that from the ability to know his deck better, or is that from the ability that maybe the RNG is just not lining up as well? Maybe we saw a very high roll uh, from Firesa earlier, but who knows? As these two guys just keep battling it out. Firesa is from Team Reapout. For you guys that don't know, he is the Australian representative from Reapout, and he was a grand champion, the second grand championship that Australia had, with Phil McKay winning the first one. Phil got top 8 and was actually ousted by Firesa in the second grand championship. So fun news. And then Gorebelly is a Filipino player that is basically associated with United Archons closely. He's one of my favorite Filipino players, and they had two of them make the top 16, so I was excited for that. Him and Stealth Slash, I believe it was. I don't know Stealth Slash as well, but I know Gorebelly, and I know that they all play and know Clint, who is the co-captain with me of the United Archons, and Clint is really the godfather of our team. So he has an awesome library for us to use and basically get ready for. And we're looking forward to organized play when it starts back up, as everyone else is. We're hoping to get to Worlds and make an impact there at Worlds. So that is the goal at some point. But we'll see. See how much momentum Keyforge can maintain through this COVID epidemic, as a lot of games are already starting to falter. So we're hoping to by doing these leagues and stuff like that that we'll be able to keep the pace. So just know that as a Keyforge player, you are very important to us, and we love you all, and we hope that we're doing things that you like and want to do. And we want to find ways to reach out and bring in new players if we can. So give us all that feedback, 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 feedback. We need more information. We need to know what you guys want, and we need to know that you guys are getting things that you want as well. And if you check out Z and my store for the upcoming coming into the week, we're going to be giving proceeds from all our sales to uh, basically add more money to our charity pool. Or for season two, I don't know which one we're doing, but there's going to be more money coming out of our sales. Like basically recover the costs and all the profits will go towards season two, I think. So um, got all that going on. So there's a lot to do and a lot to set up for season two because season one was such a crazy hit that we want to make sure that we can follow up with something as good. So thanks to all the people who have participated, and thanks to all the future participants. Also, in that event that we've been plugging, the triad, the holiday triad, um, there's going to be 4 spots for season two on the line as well. So if you place in the top 4, you would be qualified for season two of the Keyforge Premier League. So there's another extra bonus along with the $75 gift card, along with the donation match of your $10 being $10 donated to Doctors Without Borders, all that stuff. So very excited with what we're doing, and hopefully you guys are too. And again, feedback if you have any ideas and stuff that you think we could incorporate. We're glad to hear them. You can reach out to me, to Muffins, to Carl, or to Z. And if you haven't got onto our Discord server, make sure you check out our web page at https colon backslash backslash or backslash backslash colon I think it is www.crazykillingmachinenetwork.co.uk. And you go to the KFPL site and make sure that you take a look around. There's tournaments there. There's all the statuses of all the players that were in the league this year. It shows you all 3 of the decks that they had in their pools to choose from, etc. So lots of good stuff to look at there. So make sure you go get some traffic on the site and see it. Also, all my videos, podcasts, and everything is there also under the media tab. So please check those out. There's plenty of content for you to take in and embrace. And if you have any questions about Keyforge or you want to be coached up a little bit, reach out to me. I'll do it for free. I am all about being an ambassador and making more people want to play the game. So that's all my goal is. So there's an interesting sequence as Firesa pushes up a little bit more. There is the clone. The clone this time did come out. Alright. Looking at this purged pile, man, there's a lot of cards that have been removed from the game here by Firesa out of his deck. Nature's Call, Lost in the Woods. There's just like a ton of things that have gotten pushed out of the way. And Gorebelly is starting to work on a limited set of cards here, which could be bad for him. But he pushes to 7. See what happens. Should be able to get to his second key here, I think. Yeah, definitely. Piers is a little bit behind right now, but there's plenty of ways to spike Amber in this deck that he could make use of, so it's not over yet. So we see Firesa lining up to go into a Deist turn. So he's going to start to put pressure on by just reaping, and there's a Snudge. And he's just going to put a lot of pressure on here, just try to catch back up Amber-wise a little bit because he's a little bit behind. So he recognizes that and he makes the aggressive move to get himself to 6 Amber since he knows that Gorebelly is going to forge his second key. And he knows that like being behind by 2 keys is going to be way too much. So he basically is now putting himself in position to catch up to the second key and to make right by this. The Forge compiler goes off too. Huge. It's big, big, big. So here comes all those untamed creatures that we had talked about before. Now he has the ability here to reap with 2 Niffle Apes, and if he reaps with 2 Niffle Apes, he'd be in a really great situation to win the game, because I do not believe there is anything on the other side of the board that could stop him at this point. Right, the Gormavorm does have a capture, so there is one. Hard to see the capture pips, but there is one on the Gormavorm. So, but that forces him to go into Sanctum and have to play Sanctum. So that's not too horrible, especially with him only getting onto his second key and not having anything else. So he would have 0 pressure on the Amber count. So he doesn't do that. Instead, he fights to kill the Histocrog. Not sure if that was a great move. Now Firesa has the ability to just kind of go for broke here if he wanted to. Just reap, 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 and then you have to have your answers, which he does have Shadows cards in hand. So, but again, this is he went for a defensive play by using his Niffle Apes to fight instead of just staying aggressive and reaping 2 more Amber. And this is kind of the catch and Keyforge, like deciding when to play defense and when to go offensive. Him going to 6 would have been great too, because then he would have had a backup on the Shadows, and the Shadows would have been able to kind of rebalance it if there was an answer in his hand. But now he's giving him basically an extra turn to plot, so it's interesting. So it shows that Firesa is thinking right now, as this is an interesting point in the game. He has a ton of Sanctum there. And, so he draws Sanctum. What does he have here? So the Gorm of Orm is the only capture that he has. So he can bring him back down to 3, and then he's going to spike up a bit with the with some of these Amber pips. Hmm. Uh, it looks like he made a game mistake. He says, "Isn't that what I meant to do? Damage pip for my own pip." Uh, hmm. So he clicked on. He played a card that had a damage pip, and he clicked on the clone and actually popped the word on the clone accidentally, which is a gameplay mistake. That's not something I think that would get reversed. I don't. He doesn't have to. We all know that the pips play first. It's like the first thing that happens on any card. It's always the damage pip first. So that's like one he's gonna have to just live with, unfortunately. So we see him continue on his turn. Here's calculating the rest of his movement here. Taking his time to figure out how he wants to do this. This board is getting long. Crucial key here though at 2-2. Make it a little bit bigger so we can see the whole board. Absolutely ridiculous amount of creatures on the board at this point. 13 creatures on the battle line for Firesa. Pretty intense, folks. Pretty intense. Now Gorebelly has some decisions to make. Now he could play his bait and switch, gate one amber, and then use the rest of his creatures to kind of pull out, the rest of the amber from it as best he can, and hope that he draws into something that is going to help him close the game. But we'll see what he decides or thinks to do. He does have Shadows cards in his archive as well, so don't remember what they are, but I know there's at least 2 or 3 of them. Him taking his time to contemplate. Yep, there's all the shadows. Oh no! No, he should have played the bait and switch first. That was kind of a missed opportunity. That's 1 amber he left on the table that he could have took away and gained for himself. So that's a 2 amber swing missed. Now his bait and switch is dead, so that's unfortunate. He could have been at 7 here, and I think 7 would have been close to catching it. Nope. Cleansing Waves both have capture ambers on them. So 7 would have made him have to use his Cleansing Wave and basically bring him back down to 5. Oh, that was devastating. I don't know if it would have made a difference in the long run, as I think Firesa now has enough in Sanctum to reap and play Cleansing Waves, or fight and do Cleansing Waves, and get rid of the Umbras and try to get rid of the Shadow Self, and then try to just win on pure value, because he knows his deck doesn't have that much capability for taking back Amber, and he just played Shadows, so the chance of him having more right now is very slim. So I think that we're going to see a pretty nifty Sanctum turn here. Yep, he chose Sanctum. Here we go. So I expect him to fight off the 1 Umbra for sure, get damage on something, and then use those 2 Cleansing Waves to just spike his Amber to like an insane amount. And then use Gormaborm to kill the Library of Babel, because it's a card that would draw him a card, so there's some efficiency there. But it's looking pretty bad right now for Gorebelly. Fear's taking his time, making sure he gets his plays right. So he did take out the 1 Umbra. Now he's putting damage on the Shadow Self, because he's going to get 2 instead of just reaping. He gets 2 Amber from the Cleansing Waves off of the damage that he put onto the Shadow Self. So that was a heads up move there. And that should give him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 2. So 10-ish amber that he's going to spike off of these cleansing waves, plus he's going to capture 2. It's a pretty big swing. Pretty ginormous. That should be game. Firesa is going to take this 2-0, it looks like, folks, and Gorebelly's deck showing up in the game too and doing what it's supposed to do. I don't see this one coming. I don't see coming back from this one. So Firesa is sitting at 14 amber now. As he going to just finish out his turn. There's the Gorm of Worm. Going to be the Library of Babel, right? Has to be. Don't want to give him extra chances to pull something that could help him. So that looks like it's going to be game. I don't think Gorebelly has anything he can do. So we just await the concede. Let's see what happens. Well played. There's the verbal concede, and then the great game. So there's the actual concede. So that is the end of the run for the United Archons and Gorebelly, but great league he had. So he'll be back next season. So no big deal. One last quick reminder about the Holiday Triad Treat. If you haven't signed up, please get over to the website and sign up. I'm not going to hammer out all the details again, but it is going for a good cause as you get to donate to Doctors Without Borders. And that's going to wrap us up here at the Keyforge Premier League CKM division. And Firesa comes out on top 2-0 and advances towards the round of 8. Things are getting real now, and we are starting to see the cream of the crop rise to the top. And we're thankful to have you guys along for the presentation and for the league itself. So thank you to all those watching, and stay tuned for more Keyforge Premier League Top 16 action.